Years ago, Microsoft had purchased that from us and provided it in some of the additions in Dynamics GP. So through an OEM agreement, Microsoft had sold and supported that. So if you are a BRL Advanced Management user, using that licensing model for Dynamics GP, you have a license to collections management, so you may be using that today. You are also able to purchase that through the old modular licensing as well. So historically, it's never been available to Business Essentials users, so we're really excited with the transition. Microsoft is essentially giving the product back to us, Professional Advantage, and that will be effective June 1st. So anybody who's not using it now or is currently using it, and I'll be showing some of the new functionality, we will have a new release scheduled to ship June 1st as well. So I'll go over some of the existing functionality as it resides in GP today, as well as the new stuff that will be available June 1st. We do sell a number of other cross-industry solutions developed for Dynamics GP as well that are listed there, and then a few solutions, an integration tool for Dynamics GP and Dynamics RMS, and a retail analytics tool for Dynamics RMS as well. Professional Advantage has been a Microsoft President's Club member for the past 13 years, and also Microsoft has purchased and does currently market several Professional Advantage developed solutions that are included in that core GP product as it ships today. So into collections management, again, I just have a few slides to go through here, and then we'll jump into GP. First of all, kind of the objective of the tool, it's really to take the guesswork out of collecting on your overdue invoices. Now, collections management it's going to make it easy to do that collections process at a high volume, but in as little time as possible. And hand in hand with that, it's going to automate your collections process through these advanced workflow processes we call collections plans. And so kind of the overview of the tool, as it ships today with the Microsoft version, and for those of you who have used collections in the past, there is a collections notes, which is kind of the hub of the product. You have an action, whether that be a phone call that needs to be made to a customer, an email that needs to get sent with the attached invoices, or any number of actions you configure in the system. I'll go through some examples of those. Invoices that are associated again with those actions, those overdue outstanding invoice amounts that are owed to you, dates to follow up on those things, and then you'll drive tasks for your collectors, whether that's, again, those phone calls that need to be made or the emails that need to be sent out, things like that. Letters, which we'll go through some examples of some letters, but really those are set up and configured for emailing invoices and statements on those overdue amounts. And then plans, the collections plans, which we'll go through some examples of those as well, and those are for automating your collections process. So when you go through and you'll set up the solution, you're first going to want to lay out your plans, basically asking yourself, when this type of customer has documents or invoices that are this old, which action do we want to take? From there, you'll set up your letters, and I'll show you some examples of some letters. So that's the text, and which type of invoices do we want to attach to those letters, so the letters can be emailed out or printed off, then faxed or sent through the mail. Laying out your actions, as I described before, actions can be anything from a phone call to an email to a letter that's sent, or a termination of service, different letter templates. Again, those can be sent through email, fax, or through the mail. Building those plans, and then eventually assigning your customers to your specific collection plans. And the daily processing, so some of you, if you're familiar with the collections process, this will make sense to you, but it's kind of an overview of the daily processing and how you use the solution as an internal user. I'll kind of go through that here. There is a task window that's basically a to-do list for you during the day. So we'll have a list of actions, those phone calls, those emails that need to be sent, things like that. There's also query functionality for you to find and target specific customers, so you can build different queries, and I'll show you some examples of queries that I've built. So you can target specific customers, target specific amounts, a number of distinct filters you can put on for those queries. Does have the functionality to develop query letters, and there's a window for this for bulk processing. So if we wanted to target maybe only customers with outstanding amounts 90 days overdue and then send them off a bulk email or something like that, we can do that as well. There's a collections main window, which will be the first thing we'll take a look at. This is really for ad hoc and inquiry. You can do one-off printing and emailing, just get a general overview by customer of their outstanding invoices, aging periods, things like that. Also on that collection main window, there will be a spot for creating collection notes. So if you're on the phone with a customer, they've made a promise to pay a specific amount, you can take a note on that and then attach those relevant invoices which they've made a promise to pay against. And then, of course, we'll go through the collection plans, and then there's a collection plan processing window which will show you all of the customers that are assigned to these plans and with actions that are due that day. You can process them all at one time with one simple click, or you can go through and process individually. So we'll take a look at that as well. So let's jump into Great Plains, and we'll take a look at the solution. Okay, just a few things before we get started here. The new release and the new functionality around the collection plans, that'll be available and supported on Dynamics GP 2010, which I'm in right now. It'll also be supported on Dynamics GP 2013. So for the new functionality and the new release that will be debuting June 1st, those will be supported on 2010 and 2013. There will be older code that will be available with as it ships today in Microsoft GP for those older versions as well. So the first area I want to show you is the collections management main window. So as I said before, this is really the hub of your collections area. And I'll just open a customer, for example. In this case, it's Aaron Fitz Electrical. I can see some of the master data, which address this collections, the collections notes are associated with, so you can have unlimited number of addresses for this customer. Who the contact person is for Aaron Fitz, looks like it's Bob Fitz in this case. Phone number, fax number. We can see when they've made their last payment and what amount that payment was for. We can also see any unposted sales or unposted cash. Now, these allow you to drill back and see the unposted sales and the unposted cash. So the unposted sales, if there is a number of outstanding sales for this customer, we can maybe go back and put a hold on a specific shipment that hasn't been sent yet, and drill back and see some of those unposted sales if they have a large amount outstanding. So maybe we want to put a hold on those. So that gives you the ability to drill back on the unposted sales. The unposted cash, now if there's a large amount of unposted cash, we'll maybe want to drill back and see the details on that before we go in and start making phone calls and trying to collect on these overdue invoices. So if we've had the cash, it just hasn't been posted yet, this gives you the ability to see that as well. We can also assign a credit manager to this customer, which would be an internal user who manages the debt on this customer. On the right side of the window, it's going to display the aging periods for the customer, what's the current amount they owe. We can see the different aging periods and what's overdue. We can drill down to any number of these aging periods. So if I wanted to see the stuff that's 121 days overdue, display that. It's going to show me the specific invoice or documents that relates to that aging period. I can also see the total amount that's due, so this would display all the invoices associated with the customer and the amounts that are past due for that. I'll drill down to that here in just a second. And then we can establish a credit limit for the customer, who the salesperson was, maybe their account manager, a territory ID. And if you are using the national accounts functionality in Microsoft GP, so you've established parent and child relationships, this would allow you to see the parent ID. Now, if we want to display this as a national account, under the options menu up here, you can display this as a single customer or in that national account. And if we display it as a group national account, what it's going to do is going to readjust these amounts and show you the entire national account, so it would include the parent and the child account, and recalculate those amounts there. At the bottom of the window, we can see all of the collection notes that have been made against this customer. And I'll pull up an example here. So from this window, from this note window, we can see the customer ID when this note was made, so it's date and timestamp for that as well. Who made this note? So it's just myself as the system administrator. That was my caller ID. Which address for the customer it's associated with, and then who the contact person was. We can assign priority to the collection notes, and then when we set this up, we'll assign it in action ID. So in this example, this customer, I can see here from the text field at the bottom, they've made a promise to pay an amount against these two specific invoices. So the action ID shows up as a PTP, so that is a promised payment, so a promise to pay. And so we were probably on the phone again with Bob, and he made a promise to pay these two invoices by next week. We set the action date out a week from that day we spoke with Bob. And then if we wanted to assign this to another user in the system to follow up then if a payment hadn't been made a week from now, you can assign that to yourself or assign it to a different user, and then we'll go ahead and select which documents they promised to pay. So these two invoices. We can certainly select any number of invoices that are outstanding that pertain to this note. The action amount in this case is the total amount of these two invoices, but we can certainly change this action amount. So maybe they made a promise to pay maybe $2,000 against those two invoices, so it's a different amount than the total amount of those invoices. You can set different amounts there too. Now, once this is completed, I can change the status to completed or canceled by a plan, and that'll make more sense once I show you the collections plans as well. Now, just to show you some examples of these actions. Now, this is a promise to pay, but we can have different actions set up. So maybe there are calls that need to be made, set out in advance, or else maybe there's a dispute going on specific invoices. So we can note that as being disputed. Termination of services, service suspension. Any of these actions are all configurable and set up. You can set those up within the system. So that's the collections note, and again at the bottom here, we can type in what we talked about on that phone call, or why, or how they've made a promise to pay these specific invoices. If they're disputing something, we can keep some text about the specific dispute that's going on. I think it's like 16 pages of notes, so definitely ample area for you to enter that stuff as well. And then when we attach those invoices to this note by selecting those documents, it's going to give the document numbers here, the total amounts, and the dates for that as well. So at the bottom here, I can see all my notes against this specific customer. Now, if I zoom back on the total amount due, there's some visual cues here we can see with the different letters next to each individual invoice. So a P would be what we were looking at before. There's a note that there's been a promised amount that they promised to pay here. Once that promise expires, so in that note we were just looking at, they've made a promise to pay a week out. Once that week goes by and there hasn't been any amounts I've paid, that's going to turn into a B. So that notes that there has that it's been a broken promise. You need to then go ahead and follow up with this customer accordingly if that amount has since passed and they haven't made any payments on those invoices. D obviously stands for dispute, and if at the bottom here we can see the amounts that are currently being promised to pay, the amounts that are being disputed. If there's no actions or visual cues assigned to any amounts, we can see the other that are none. If there's any special circumstances for any of the invoice amounts, you can assign that to that as well. So this lets you see all the outstanding invoices for this customer and any of those that have been assigned as a promise, a dispute, maybe a broken promise, things like that. Also from this window, we can shoot these one-off emails. So if I'm on the phone with Bob Fitz and he wants to see all the outstanding invoices, I can send him an email quickly from this window, and I can add who it's to. If I want to select a specific letter I have set up, and just for example, let's maybe we want to email him maybe some selected invoices, the ones we're talking about on the phone. I can select that specific letter ID. It's going to fill in this automatically here, and then I just select which invoices we were talking about and go ahead and redisplay that. So in the body of the email, it's going to contain that text that you set up with that specific letter ID. And then once you select the invoices that are going to be attached to the email, it's going to actually attach PDF versions of these documents that you selected. And then in the body of the email, it's going to have the document numbers, the dates associated with those documents, and the amounts as well. I go ahead and click send. It would send Bob Fitz these documents in an email. Again, they're attached as PDF documents, and then the details will be listed out in the body of the email as well. So we can come in here, we can create new notes by selecting a new note from the top menu here. We would select which action we want to take, what date that action comes due, which documents are associated with again, and we can assign it to different users in the system. So if you have a collections team or collectors in the system, we can set that up. There will be a task list, so this is per collector. So I'll select my collector ID as just the system administrator, for example. Select a date, range here. So it's going to show me all the tasks that have been assigned to me, and in this case, the majority of them are calls that I can go through this task list, follow up with these customers on those amounts that have been promised to us. Also, that promised payment we were looking at earlier with that collections note that appears on here. Once they make payment across this note, we can go ahead and select mark as paid, and then that would clear this promised payment from my task list. And then the query functionality. Now the query functionality gives you the ability to target specific customers. Now let me just pull up an example. This is one I set up this morning, which gives me the ability to target customers that have amounts that are over 90 days, but they haven't made a promise to pay. So that's kind of scary in that these customers have outstanding amounts 90 days overdue, but we haven't been able to touch base with them to see what's going on, or they haven't made a promise to pay on those specific amounts. So I just want to see in the system who has that specific criteria. And again, these are my restrictions on the query. I can go through and build different ones. So if I wanted to select different customer info, the balance, so balance due, balance greater than a credit limit for different aging periods, document dates, due dates, things like that. So all the different criteria you can build these queries on. So once we have the specific the periods, the amounts, the customers that I want to target. Go ahead and run this query. Now, once it searches through all of your customers, it's gonna tell you how many records were searched. 103 in this case. It found one customer with a total balance of this amount. That's overdue for that customer. So the good thing is I only have one customer with amounts over 90 days past due that haven't made promise to pay. So I'll click OK, and it's going to pull up in that collections main window that specific customer, and it just happens to be Aaron Fitz Electrical. Now, if there were multiple customers on that query, we can view those customers. Now, as long as you have the query selected that you just ran, when I go to my customer lookup window, it would display all of those customers specific to that query. So I can sort this. The nice thing is I can sort this by total amounts due, so I can work down this list, with the customers who owe the most, and work through that query that way. Simply switching back to all and hitting that lookup window, I can go through and see all my customers again from there. So the query functionality is really it has always been available in this collections tool as it was provided by Microsoft, and again, it just allows you to target specific customers. Now, the query functionality is going to become less and less important now with these new collections plans. So that's kind of the next thing I want to show you here is our collection management plans. Now, let me open an example. The plans will be set up and configured so you can have unlimited number of plans, and then you'll assign these to your customers. So in this example, it's just a standard plan I have set up. You can set a minimum amount due. So this ensures that if there's a customer that you do $1 million in sales with every year, but for some particular reason you have a $50 amount outstanding, you're not going to send them through this collections process on a $50 invoice when you do $1 million a year of business with them. So that you can set a minimum amount for those collections plans to kick off. If you don't want a minimum amount, you can set that to 0 as well. Now, once the plans start, these are all based on when those invoices are due. So if a customer is assigned to a standard plan, 3 days before that invoice is due, it's going to kick them out a reminder. This is a specific step. So that reminder is an action that you have set up, and I'll show you the letter that's associated with that action. And this is just a reminder we have set up. Basically saying here, hello, you have invoices that will be due soon. Here's a list of the outstanding items. We've attached them to this email for your convenience. Again, the collections management tool is automatically going to attach the PDF invoices to this email reminder and also list them out in the body of the email too. Now, one other nice thing is if you're familiar with the email functionality from GP and kind of some of the mail merge options, we can insert functions about with the customer info, if we wanted to include their name or their contact details. Also, the functions allow you to attach all the invoices to this email. Maybe only the overdue invoices, maybe only the invoices you're disputing or something like that. So there's several different functions we can select here to attach invoices. So in this case, we just want to attach all of the invoices that are overdue and insert those into PDF formats in the email when this gets sent out. So you can use the standard GP emailing functionality. Now, the standard GP email writer isn't really fancy, so there's very limited formatting functionality with that. So we've actually developed the ability to use Microsoft Word templates for these emails, and you can set up and select those to be associated with these different actions. So if I wanted to utilize the great formatting features of Microsoft Word for these emails, I can certainly do that as well. So going back to the plan, so 3 days before those invoices, that first invoice comes due, it would shoot them out a reminder. Now, 7 days past due, it's going to kick out an email of a certain template. 14 days, set up a call. 20 days, send out another email. 22 days past due, set up another call. All the way down to where you want that collection plan to end, whether that's sending them to your legal department or putting a service suspension on their record so they can't, you can't send them any more products or provide any more service to that customer. It's been put on hold. However you want that collection plan to end would be your last step. Now, just to give you a different example of a collection plan, if you have larger customers who you don't want to be receiving emails, maybe you just want somebody to be making phone calls to these customers, you could set up, in this case, a phone plan. So this would just set up phone calls for your collections team to make to these customers who are assigned with this phone plan. So that's the collection plan setup window. Now, once we have your customers assigned to these plans, you'll come into this collection plan activity window. And now this is going to display, so you come in here in the morning, this will display all of the customers with actions that are due that day. And we can sort, we can only see customers with a balance, maybe just customers that are overdue. We can sort by collector, so the users, your GP users, you can sort by collector from a query, or maybe customers that are at the end of a plan. We can search all of the customers here. We can maybe just work through the ones that are assigned to that standard plan. Sort by the current action they're on or the next suggested action. So if I just want to see the customers that are set to receive this reminder email that we just looked at, I know that's a pretty safe one. I could go out and process all those customers at one time. If let's go back here to all of the customers here. I can certainly go in and process these customers one at a time. So if I just wanted to, process these customers one at a time here, I'll select a specific customer. It's going to show me which documents that it's pertaining to, those amounts of those documents. If it's an email that's going to be sent, it's showing the example of the email. I can edit that from there. Click Process as Customer. That would be sent out from there. Now, like I said before, we could process all these customers at one time, in which case, if I hit Process All Customers, before it does this for you, it'll tell you all of the customers that are on this phone plan. It's going to generate 7 email reminders that will be sent. All the customers on that standard plan, here's a list of what's going to happen. 3 emails of this letter type will be sent, 1 email of this letter type, 71 reminder emails, and then to their task list. I hit OK. All that stuff would happen automatically, and then you could go back to your task list and really work on making those phone calls. Now, when you're sending the letters, if you have customers that are set up not to receive emails, you can have the system email what doesn't get, or print what doesn't get sent through email. In which case you could, fax that letter that way or send it out to the mail. So hit OK. All that stuff would happen automatically. You can focus on making those collections calls from there. So that, in a high-level overview, is really the collection plan processing window in the collection plan functionality. Now, with the new release, there will be some reports that can get sent out. And if you want to visit our website, and I'll give you details to that here from this slide. If you want to visit our website at profad.com, search the collections tool there. There are several product videos, so you can see a lot of the stuff we saw here today. There's also videos on some new reporting functionality that will be coming out. So there'll be reports that you can have sent automatically out to the collections team in your organization or to your management team, whoever you want that to get sent to. The reports are very nice. They're going to have a lot of drill down features with graphs that are actually going to show your aging period. So you can drill down, you can see the customers that have the most outstanding invoices, the greatest amounts outstanding. You can drill down, see those customers, and actually let you drill down to see the individual invoices that are outstanding from those reports. So a lot of great material and videos on reporting and collections in general from our website. But I just wanted to wrap up here. There's my contact details. So please feel free to work through AKA, and we could set up a more in-depth demo if anybody is interested in that. So I see we have a few more minutes here. I can go through and open up